Hello and welcome to another episode of the Top Dogs podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network, where I guess we have to talk about what the hell just happened in Milwaukee. UConn goes on the road, loses to Marquette 64-62 in a game that, with a win, would have clinched a share of the Big East regular season championship. That's gone. St. John's has now won back-to-back outright regular season championships. Would have given them the indoor track to being able to earn a number one seed on Selection Sunday. That is probably gone. I don't see any way that they can get past Florida, barring Florida doing something incredibly dumb, like losing at Marquette late in the season. So that is probably gone. UConn is probably looking at being a number two seed. Gone, well, I guess it happened yesterday, but gone is the possibility of being the number one seed in the Big East tournament, which means that UConn will now be playing the night games, will have fewer time to rest, will be up later, and will be having to deal with potentially playing Villanova in the semifinals of the Big East tournament. So nothing good. Nothing good came out of today. There's also the possibility that UConn's head coach could end up being suspended for a game or maybe two in the Big East tournament, depending on how things play out. There's the fact that this team looks like they've completely lost any and all confidence they had heading into the season. Everything is bad. Everything is terrible. I want to go put my head through the plate glass window that's right over there on the other side of my office. And I have no desire to watch basketball the rest of the day, but I got to do it because that is what my job is. So, better way to get past it than to sit here and talk about it. So, I think we need to start on what happened with Dan at the end. I think it's very clear to me that Ben Gold did not commit a foul on Silas Emmer. I thought that was pretty terrific defense, to be frank. I thought Silas went up strong. I thought that he did about what he was supposed to do late in that possession, and I wish he finished it. I wish that Terrace would have been able to grab the offensive rebound and put it back in, but it didn't happen. And Marquette made a couple good plays on that end of the floor late in the game, and they were able to come away with a victory. I think the frustration that we saw out of Dan was there were a couple things that happened there. I think the biggest thing is that it was a buildup of stuff that had happened throughout the game. There were some calls throughout that game that might have been a little bit tiki-tack. There were some that I didn't think necessarily went UConn's way. I will say that this is a trend that we've seen in the Big East this season, and I don't think the fact that Dan has these reactions necessarily helps with Big East refs that are in around that conference. You're not going to curry any favor by showing up officials, but like it is what it is. He's done what he's done. He is a two-time national champion, and he might be the most aggressive, but and the most what's the word that I'm looking for boast when it comes to talking with the officials, but he is hardly the only national championship official national championship winning coach that has a tendency to be overly argumentative with officials. Now, the issue is the contact that he made with John Gaffney, which frankly it's not acceptable at all. You can't do that. The Big East office, I'm assuming, is going to take a look at it. I don't think that he was necessarily trying to make contact. I think that he just he saw red and he kind of lost control and he made contact. And I don't think it was intentional that he did it, but it happened. You have to be able to control your emotions, to control your body. You cannot make contact with an official. And I think there's a chance that he might end up getting suspended for a game or two in the Big East tournament. And if he does, he probably deserves it. You can't make contact with an official. That's the one thing that you cannot do on a court. But I don't think that's necessarily here nor there. To me, and I really, I'm not gonna let myself get sucked into the conversation of Dan Hurley versus the refs. It is pointless. We've done this before. I'm not going down that road. It's not going to happen. I know Goodman's going to try to take it there at some point on After Dark because that is going to be a storyline that comes out of this. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But what I will say is that I think more than anything that the way that he reacted is a sign of what he feels about where this roster is right now. You did not see these reactions from him in 2024. You did not see reactions like this from him once you got past a losing streak in the 2023 season. You did not see this from him earlier in the season. We saw it in the 21 and 22 seasons where UConn was tournament good, but wasn't good enough to win a game in the tournament good. We saw this last year in the moments when Dan went from thinking that he had a team that had a chance to be able to three-peat to realizing that he had to figure some things out, put some pieces together just to make sure that team got into the tournament, right? And I think what happens, without playing too much armchair psychologist here, is that when he knows that he is up against it and he is frustrated because he does not believe that he is a team that is capable of going out and winning those games, that frustration manifests itself as taking out the anger, his anger on officials. And yes, there were some calls that didn't go UConn's way. There were probably calls that did go UConn's way. That's the nature of the beast when it comes to the Big East. Home court advantage is going to be something that allows you to get a better whistle from officials. That's the way that it goes. That's life in every major conference. That's life in college basketball. That's life in every single sport that you see on planet Earth. And to me, that was a reaction that says, I am pissed off. I am frustrated that we just gave away a chance to win a Big East championship. I am pissed off that Rick Pitino was going to be able to hang over my head again, that he is the champion of the Big East regular season. I'm pissed off because I don't think that I have a team that is good enough to do the stuff that I thought we were going to be able to do. I don't think that I have a championship team anymore. And to me, that is the biggest indicator that there is something very wrong with the way that this UConn season is going. As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app. You sign up using bonus code FIELD. You deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. There is no sport in America that is more difficult to follow than college basketball. It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for injury updates, recruiting news, and transfer portal additions that actually matter. For just $50 a year, get access to the same information that your favorite team's coaching staff is subscribed for. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help you with that. Today's episode of the Field of 68 is sponsored by Chubbies. Right now, I'm literally wearing their Everywhere pants. They are comfortable and stretchy to the point that it feels like I got on sweatpants in a business setting. I'm also a big fan of their classic line swim trunks. The built-in boxer brief liner is comfy, supportive, and most importantly, chafe-free. I had to get multiple pairs because I wore them every day down the shore last summer. This is year 15 for Chubbies as a business, and they are celebrating it by bringing back the shorts that started it all. The same iconic fit, the same lightweight and stretchy comfort-first design. For a limited time, Chubbies is giving our listeners 20% off with code F68 at chubbiesshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with code F68 at chubbiesshorts.com. Give your thighs the VIP treatment they deserve with Chubbies. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Taking care of your mental health shouldn't be harder than taking care of your physical health. Get rid of the long wait lists and expensive appointments with Rula, where the average session copay is just $15 and every therapist on the platform is licensed, vetted, and picked for their expertise. You're talking to someone legit, not just someone who is available. You just answer a survey and you get connected with a therapist that fits your needs. Go to rula.com/F68. That's RULA.com/F68 and take control of your mental health. And look, a week off to prepare, right? A week removed from Caravan's senior night, a week to be able to get past the emotions that came with that. And this is the performance that we get out of it. 3 for 24 from three, 16 turnovers, again with the undisciplined fouls. Like, I don't know if it looks like anybody on that team is having fun. And sometimes at the end of the day, when I get on here afterwards and I say the same thing over and over again, where it's like, yeah, you know what, they have turnover issues, and Braylon Mullins and Solo Ball haven't been shooting the ball all that well, and we're waiting for Alex Scaraband to kind of take over offensively, and Terrace Reed is too inconsistent, not just game to game, but kind of from substitution to substitution, right? From half to half, from TV timeout to TV timeout. When we say over and over again that there's question marks with this bench, we say over and over again that it does not look like this team has the kind of leadership that you need. Sometimes that's just who you are, and that's just who this UConn team is. And we saw a lot of this early on in the season, right? I think that we were able to identify that turnover issues and foul issues were going to be a problem with this team, all the way back to like the BYU game, right? And I think back to some of those games against teams that were playing the bye games in the non-conference, and I think back to some of the issues that they had turning it on against those teams and running those teams out of the gym. And I think back to some of the struggles that they've had throughout this Big East season, and it's just I think that this is just who they are, right? And you're supposed to peak in February, right? And this team is to a point, and I'll talk about what I mean by to a point, but to a point, this team has kind of collapsed in February, right? You're supposed to be playing your best basketball of late, and that's what the championship contenders this season are doing, right? Michigan is playing the best basketball. Florida's looked unbelievable the last 6 weeks. Arizona's playing great. They had a little bit of a rough stretch when Koa Pete got hurt, but they're playing their best basketball right now. Duke is obviously playing some of their best basketball right now. I'm saying this when they were about to play North Carolina here in 3 hours, but they've been playing their best basketball late this season. That's what the teams that are championship contenders are doing. That's what UConn did in 2023. That's what UConn did in 2024. That's what the 4 number 1 seeds did last year in 2025. And this group is just like, they're just not. They've plateaued. They've regressed. The confidence looks like it's gone. There's a level of mental toughness and physical toughness that I don't think exists on this roster the way that we saw other teams have it. There is no motherfucker on this group. There is nobody that I would be worried about, after a soft performance in the locker room, coming in and potentially swinging on me in the locker room, right? Andre Jackson, if you don't play hard enough, I would have been afraid of Andre Jackson coming in and hitting me with a backhand. I'd be terrified of letting Cam Spencer down and having to punt a basketball at my face in the locker room, right? I think Steph Castle, like, there's a level of intimidation that comes with Steph Castle and sheer will and determination, even if he's not the most verbose guy in the world. Like, he's tough and physical and intense, and he's not going to let shit get to him. And I think what we've seen this year is defensive pressure can get to Silas Demery, and that can turn into turnovers. The mental pressure can get to Solo Ball, and we can see that turn into missed shots and inefficiency on the offensive end of the floor. Braylon Mullins has not been as consistent as we would have liked him to be, but he's dealt with concussions. He's dealt with ankle injuries. Like, it's not been the easiest season for him, but still, he has not come in and been the guy that we expected him to be as the number, 10, 12, 15 prospect in a class that is this loaded as freshmen. Ryba's been inconsistent. Malachi Smith looks like he's terrified every time he steps on the floor. So I think that we've at least I've been here for a little while, but I've kind of gotten to the point where it's just like, this is who they are. This is what it is. This is the direction that is going. And sometimes you have a flawed team that is probably not as talented as we thought they were, that is not as good as we thought they were coming into the season. And they just faded down the stretch. That happens. And despite all of that, right? Despite everything that I just said, this is a team that put together a top 10 caliber season, right? They are 27-4. They've had some thrilling come from behind, exciting victories, right? They absolutely beat the brakes off of St. John's. Um, they had some very, very, very good wins in incredible neutral site environments early on this season against the likes of BYU and Illinois and Florida and at Kansas. They went into the fog and they went at Kansas. There have been moments with this group in a 27 win season when they went 17-3 in the Big East. And I'm sitting here like, this sucks. Like, I'm like, this season has been nothing close to what I wanted it to be. And that's kind of what happens when you have a year where you give away, and like that's what I'm gonna say. They gave away a Big East title. When you lose at home the way that they lost to Creighton, and you lose it on the road to Marquette the way that they lost on the road to Marquette, you're kind of giving away a Big East title. And it's frustrating, it's disappointing, and I get that. But I'm also cognizant of how spoiled that makes me as a college basketball fan, right? Like, how many fan bases across the country would cut off their left pinky toe to be able to have a season like this, like we just experienced? How many fan bases across the country that are used to losing, that have never experienced winning at any kind of a level, would do anything to be able to would spend $15 million in NIL to be able to get a 27 win season where you finished second in the Big East, where you're heading towards a 2 seed in the Big East tournament that they can probably still win on paper, that is good enough to be able to be a 2 seed, potentially still a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, where they've beaten one of the 1 seeds and they've beaten a couple of the 2 seeds, and they lost by 4 at home to another one of the 1 seeds when they didn't have 2 starters on the roster. So, like, there's so many college basketball fans that would be ecstatic with this kind of a season. And I I am frustrated and I'm disappointed, but I'm also I don't want to be that spoiled fan. And I think about where I kind of was mentally with this group in 2022, right? Where I was just thinking, hey, you know what would be awesome if this team was good enough to make a run to the second weekend again. And this team was good enough to get to a Big East tournament championship game again, right? I think about like the 2017, 2018, 2019 years when I just felt totally disconnected from UConn basketball. I know I would watch it sometimes if it was, there was a time slot and a window that I was able to get it on TV when they were in the American. It made it easier because there were some random Thursday night games when, doing this, I didn't have 15 other games of priority that I had to watch. There were so many years where like I just didn't care about a loss. And the idea that once again, a loss like this can kind of ruin my day and ruin my week. It's the first weekend of March. My daughter's birthday's tomorrow, and UConn losing a game like that can ruin my weekend. This is going to sound weird, but it is a blessing to feel like that when you have a team that is good enough where a 27-4 season, a 17-3 finish, second in the Big East, is the kind of thing that leaves you incredibly disappointed. So I'm not saying that you should not feel that way, because I feel that way. I'm going to get past it. I'll be right. I'm going to crack open a beer here in a second and find a way to be able to move on and go enjoy the rest of what should be a great college basketball Saturday. I I'm not telling you that you should not feel this way. But what I will say is don't let this be the kind of thing that ruins your experience for what the Big East tournament will be, that will make it so that you don't travel to go potentially see this team in the NCAA tournament. Like, do all the stuff that you're going to do as a fan, because you don't know when it's going to disappear. You don't know how long it's going to last this way. So, um, yeah, it's uh, it's one of those things where it kind of puts a loss like this in perspective. And I will say this as well, and I think this is worth noting. How many great looks did Solo Ball get? How many great looks did Braylon Mullins get? And how many great looks did Alex Caravan get that did not go down? You know, I will take this team playing the way that they played, getting the looks that they got from three against that Marquette team 10 times out of 10 and expect them to win. Those shots didn't go down. The pressure of potentially having to giving away a game like this, giving away a lead like this, and giving away the Big East regular season championship, does that look like it got to them? Probably. Is that something that might cost them in the NCAA tournament? Probably. Like, I would not be surprised to see UConn have a game like this that ends up getting them dropped out, maybe in the semifinals of the Big East tournament, maybe in the second round of the NCAA tournament against a 6 seed or a 7 seed. Those are the kind of things that happen. But when you think about where this group, where this program was as recently as like 7 or 8 years ago, my son was alive for moments in time where UConn basketball just it was not something that emotionally affected me. So I appreciate where this program has gotten to. I'm not going to let myself be blinded by the fact that that we are where we are right now, and it sucks that this Big East tournament or this Big East championship went away. I'm already hearing from certain St. John's podcasters that I now regret doing podcasts with. No, I'm just kidding. Congratulations, Dave. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm not, I can't bring myself to get into the X's and O's of this, right? Like I don't want to overanalyze the stuff that we've been talking about over and over again. Turnovers are a problem. Shooters not making shots are a problem. Not having an impact off the bench is a problem, right? The fact that the guy that is the active player in the Huskies of Honor gets a rebound off of a missed shot with 11 seconds left and no timeouts and has to wait for a point guard to come get the ball from him is probably not an ideal situation, right? Like there's things about this group that are flawed that I don't know if you're going to fix at this point in the season. We've had what is it now? 6 months or 4 months to try to fix it, and it hasn't gotten better. We've been waiting, saying all season long, just wait until they click. Wait, well, they're not going to click. This is what they are. They are what they are. And it is a team that is probably good enough if they get the right draw to get to a second weekend. And that's just what UConn basketball is in this moment. And the fact that they got to 27-4 doing it, the fact that they put themselves in a position to get a really good draw and a really good seed in the NCAA tournament is a good thing. And if this group gets to the second weekend of the tournament, I don't know about you guys, I'm going to celebrate it. If they make it to the Big East championship game, I don't know about you guys, I'm going to be pulling from the whole way. I'm going to be louder than ever because now we got to, if we're going to be able to get a championship this year, you got to go win 3 in the Big East tournament. It is what it is. That's where UConn basketball is at this point. Yeah, I'm disappointed like you guys, but I'm not gonna. I refuse to let this ruin my first weekend in March. I refuse to let this be something that gets me down. So I'm gonna take one more sip of this right here, and we're on, and we're past it, on to the garden.